lovely people, how are you all doing today? I do hope you are well. I'm well, but waiting to get outside again because we've had the most horrible weather recently. I've been properly pinned down by, just rain. I got a little bit of footage, which I'll show you in a second, from, it's a few days ago. It was the first day of rain, so this is at the end of August, the first day of rain since about May, proper rain. So, yay! Let me show you these two little clips first and then we'll reconvene. Oh, finally some rain, and it's heavy. I wonder if I can do this without the camera getting soaked. Let me protect my lens. Can you see? Oh, it's like a river. Oh no, it's too heavy. Hang on, I'm going to come back inside, but it's like a river. Because I'm on a hill. Yeah, it's a river coming down here. Tipping down. First proper rain since May. Ooh, golden banger. Let's see how the tomatoes are faring in the rain. Oh, go on, Bennett. I can hear it. What I haven't done is I didn't get to put my cover on the table yet. The cover's on the bench, but is it slackening? Over there we've got Ballard down. Ballard down. Which to the left of this picture, running west, becomes part of Nine Barrow Down, all the way to Call from beyond. It's the Purbeck Hills. In the meantime, my garden is dripping. Oh, I don't have to water tonight. Look at that gorgeous squash under there. I wonder if I can just... I've got this... I look the broom across the door. This is to stop the door slamming in the breeze. It just wedges it open. Oh, I know. I'll take my indoor slippers off. Hang on a second. Put my garden slippers on. And then I can step out properly. And even if they get soaking wet, it doesn't matter. But let's have a little look at I should have put all this furniture away, but I need to make space in the shed, in the potting shed. Let's see how the garden's looking. Oh, the rain is definitely abating. I know it's abating because the birds are tweeting again. All the sparrows up in the olive tree. I don't like having the furniture put away, but never mind. How is life in the garden in the rain? Well, I don't have to water. Tons and tons of tomatoes to pick. I'm trying to shelter my camera. I can't lift you up over into the bay. Oh no, sorry, my camera's getting soaked, but the bay is milky white. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I don't have to water tonight, and that is an absolute dream for me, but I just would love to have just one tiny little bit more time out here. Oh, I'm going to go in. It's really starting to chuck down again. Hang on a sec. I'm holding camera backwards. Let me get in out of the rain. Yeah, I just hope that this is one of those kind of times of, we have a couple of weeks of rain and it's grotty, but then the sun comes out again and we have a lovely September and October. But never mind, even with the rain, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I have the best view. Oh, it's coming down hard again now. So that was how it started, but oh my goodness, it got so much worse. that night, so I'd already said I'd been into town, and there was just sand and silt everywhere, sort of on the flat part of town, because of course we're a valley. That night, we had the most torrential rainstorm. It was absolutely bonkers. And of course, being in a valley, but also because it's been bone dry for months and months and months on end. Of course, when the rain is landing, it's just bouncing off the ground and running down all the hills. So, a little bit of, in the centre of town, it's a tiny town, there was flooding. My Boots the chemist got flooded. I need to go there tomorrow, actually. I need to check that they've reopened. And my poor old tomatoes got a right battering, so I've had to kind of prop some of them up. Actually, we're going to go and do a harvest in a minute. Quick little harvest, because the problem with that huge amount of rain suddenly is it can make the tomatoes burst. I'm expecting quite a few burst ones. So get them now before they start to rot on the plants. Get them now and I might be able to rescue some of them. Anyway, so just the most terrific deluge, and since then it's barely stopped. Much lighter. It's drizzling now, hopefully that's supposed to finish. The drizzle is supposed to finish now. I'm looking at the clock. We're supposed to now be sunshiny again. It is brightening up. But we needed the rain. It's just, it would have been better for the land and for obviously the town in terms of flooding. It would have been better to just have a nice bit of light rain every night throughout summer, sunshine in the daytime. We can't have everything we want though, can we? Right. This today, I've got 1,000,001 props to share with you, and it's all been prompted by this book, Patrick Grant, Less. Stop buying so much rubbish. Having fewer, better things can make us happier. I didn't realise Patrick Grant, it's actually Patrick from the Great British Sewing Bee. Having read this book, I'm watching Sewing Bee again. I need to talk about it today because I need to get it back to the library tomorrow. Use it or lose it. Library, that is. Well, anything really. Yeah, use it or lose it. So I'm using my library. I'd seen this book briefly mentioned on someone else's Facebook. It might have been my second cousin, I'm not sure. She often shares books. Saw it briefly, didn't know anything about it, just saw the title, Less. Some simple clothing. I thought, oh, that looks like my kind of thing. Asked the library to get it in for me. This has come from Wells in Somerset. What a book. It's a little bit of a mind blower. You can see I've made tons and tons of notes. It is a really good book, but it's quite hard hitting. At times depressing, at times angry making, but ultimately inspirational. So I should say from the outset, this isn't a book about decluttering, downsizing, that sort of thing. This is a book, it focuses mostly on the clothing trade, the rag trade. We go into social economics, we go into economics in general, capitalism and how capitalism isn't working. The whole premise of the book is that we are making too much rubbish, buying too much rubbish, fast fashion, landfill, etc., etc. So let's make do with less stuff, in this case clothing. Let's make do with far less, but by really good quality that lasts for years and years and years. I'm going to talk about that a little bit as we go on, but also he talks about British manufacturing, how we've lost so much of our manufacturing. I come from Lancashire originally. It's Cottonopolis, well, Manchester was Cottonopolis. At the heart of so many towns was a mill. And this transcribes to all sorts of communities across Lancashire and Yorkshire, but we could also think of, say, shipbuilding in the northeast. We can think of all the mining towns through Lancashire and Yorkshire and, of course, South Wales. where we once had these industries, it's quite possible that a factory in the middle of that town employed the vast majority of members of that town. People had good work, they had, okay pay, a sense of pride, I'm working, I can pay for my own stuff, some civic pride. So that's a lot of what this book is about what we've lost, but maybe what we can do to regain some of it. And that's what I mean, how it's depressing and angry making, what one reads, but ultimately it becomes inspiring. He has a factory in Burnley in Lancashire, and it's a clothing factory. And one might look at the clothes. A pair of jeans, for instance, from their factory is £100, and one might think, oh, that's far too much. I could get a pair from Primani for 15 quid. But it keeps coming back to the same point about this sort of fast fashion and plastic fashion, so much synthetic fibre. And we're just buying more and more and more and more, wearing things a few times, they fall apart, we get bored with them because it was very fashionable in the moment, but next year it doesn't look right anymore, so we chuck them away and we buy some more. So instead of buying 10 pairs of £15 jeans over the course of 10 years that all get chucked away and you've spent 150 quid, save up, buy one decent pair of jeans for £100 and hopefully have them maybe for your entire life. I've got a pair of shoes. I've had them for over 30 years now. Just a simple pair of brogues, a classic design. I've had them resold. They were expensive to me at the time when I bought them. I think they were something like £75, which at the time felt really expensive. But I've never had to buy another pair of that type of shoe. They will last me until I die. Yay! It's a really thought-provoking read. I highly recommend it, but be prepared for some shocks. And it talks about AI. I mentioned this in that previous video about how it's a really hard book to describe because there's so much to it, and it is about our shopping habits, but it is, in a way, it's a manifesto. The whole government. Patrick Grant for Prime Minister, please. The government needs to read it. A sort of a manifesto for bringing work back to communities, bringing civic pride back, bringing decent jobs back, stop offshoring all our manufacture. Yeah. So one of the things he talks about also is AI. He loves craft. He loves handmade or things, where human hands are involved. And he mentions towards the end about AI and the government report was saying that in 10 years' time we may have lost a further 25% of all jobs to AI. But there are some things, of course, AI can't do. AI can't thatch, and it can't... can it make clothes? It's a complex one to talk about. He talks about, for instance, and I agree, that capitalism doesn't work. The idea of trickle-down economy does not work. That's a myth we've been sold. One could argue that in that high Victorian period, the 1860s, 1870s, some of the mill owners who were getting vastly, vastly rich, they did beneficial things like build schools, build recreation parks, build libraries, that sort of thing. So they did improve the towns, but even so, that didn't trickle down into the workers' pockets. It wasn't as if the workers suddenly were, had more money. And so it is today. We see the top tier getting richer and richer and richer, and we just we stagnate. There's another example in it of, he talks about the top 5 richest families in the UK. The top 5 richest families have more wealth than the bottom 10% of the UK population. That's 13 million people. So 5 families have more wealth than 13 million people. It's crazy. Anyway, right, I'm not going to dwell on the politics. It's full on. It is full on, but it's really it stopped me in my tracks, and it's actually inspired me to make a couple of changes myself. So I thought this was a good thing to share today. Why is my schnozzle driving me nuts? The weather's about to change. The sun's coming out. We can go and grab some tomatoes. Yeah. I think over the years that there's a lot of stuff I think that I do really well. In terms of, if I want to put a label on it, let's call it conscious shopping. Rather than being eco or green, conscious shopping. So I think over the years I've done really, really well. But I'm not perfect, nowhere near. So it's brilliant. I do this for myself. Every now and again, I like to do something which really makes me think about what I'm doing within our society. So for example, every now and again, I do a rubbish audit. And for those of you who've been watching the channel all year before we moved down here, you'll remember I did a rubbish audit in the new year. I'll see if I'll find it and put it on the end of this video. And yeah, it's a really useful thing to do every now and again, to think, is rubbish creeping back into my life? Am I buying stuff I don't need? And you know my mantra by now in terms of shopping. Do I really need it? And if I really need it, okay, I'm going to buy it, but how can I buy well? And this comes back to the less thing, because I know that one of the claims people will make or will shout at me is, well, it's all very well and good for you, you're rich, I'm not. Can't afford that, can't afford that. And I get it, you know, like I said, the £100 pair of jeans, it's a lot of money. But if you only buy one pair of jeans every 30 years, then suddenly it's not a lot of money. We have to get out of that mindset of just buying stuff all the time. Buy what you really need and buy well made. But also, this talks about, you know, buying British. And that is something that, you know, I think about it every now and again. Not often. This book has made me think about it. So I've done a couple of swaps, actually, really easy swaps that I'm going to share with you in a second. Can I buy something that's British rather than outsourced overseas, and it's had to be shipped halfway across the world or even further? Can I buy less, fundamentally? So I thought, and I've got some ideas. I want to talk about Christmas presents. I know it's really early, but we might need a little bit of time. If we're going to go to extra trouble to try and find good stuff that isn't costing the earth, and that isn't costing people their jobs by outsourcing, overseas sourcing, then yeah, we need a bit of time, don't we? So I thought I'm going to start with my own clothes, because this is a frock that I think you saw it a few weeks ago, and it's got pockets. I love a pocket. So it's made by a company, they're not called this anymore, I've had to look them up, but it's Braintree. And now I bought this frock about 15 years ago. I love it. It's not high fashion in that it wasn't like, I can't remember 15 years ago what the thing was that was in fashion. So it's not a cut that you think, oh my goodness, that's so 2010. Oh, you look so daggy. Oh, you're so out of date. It's just a really simple shift dress, and a shift dress will never go out of fashion, especially one with pockets. So Braintree, this company, I think they're now called Thought. They used to be stocked in the ethical supermarket. I've mentioned that before. And it wasn't cheap, but I always used to wait for their sales. So I think it was £95 originally, and I got it in the sale for, I think, £37.50. Not too bad for a dress, I don't think. But the lovely thing about it is it's made from organic hemp. The vast majority of my clothes, top I'm wearing, my clothes are natural fibres, so cotton, hemp, linen. I don't think I've got any silk in my life anymore. Sorry, I'm skipping around all over the place. So this is organic hemp. Hemp is a great fibre because it's really long and strong, And in terms of growing it, it takes much less water than so many of the other fibres. And this one happens to be organic too. Now, I wore this and wore this and wore this, so it's been washed and washed and washed. Stopped wearing it about 4 years ago when my hips got a bit too big because I started putting on weight, but now I've lost weight, I'm wearing it again. Great. So you might say, back to the price tag, you might say, who's got £95 for a dress? Well, actually, that was when I was working. I didn't have £95 for a dress. I did have £37.50 for a dress, which I'm now wearing £15 later. If you work that out, I haven't worked it out. That's about £2.50, it's not even that, £2.50 a year. If I wear it 10 times in the year, that's 25 pence per wear. So yeah, buy less, and when we do buy as well as we can. Now I think Braintree, I think they started out of Australia, I'm not sure. This might be Braintree too. I'll have to look in the screen. Can we see? Is it? Yeah, it's Braintree as well. But what Patrick's got me thinking about is buying British made, so it's not having to travel. So his factory, his clothing line is called Community Clothing. So I don't need anything. I don't need any clothes at the moment. But if I, for example, I might need a pair of jeans, but I won't buy them for another 6 months or so because I'm still losing weight. So when I come to need a pair of jeans, I mean, who needs jeans? But you know what I mean. I'll probably look at Community Clothing for them. But this thing about buying British manufacture, sorry, I've got millions of notes. I don't want to forget anything. I tried a company last year, excuse me, or earlier this year, didn't make a note of their name, couldn't find them again. So when I moved in here and I needed to get lavatory paper, I ended up getting a subscription to Who Gives a Crap. So I opt for the recycled rather than bamboo. It seems daft to grow something when we've got rubbish we can use anyway. But, and you know, I think 50% of the sale goes to charities. That's great. So it does tick a lot of my boxes. But when I read Patrick, I thought, no, I need to do better because it's coming from China. It's crazy. It's travelling all those thousands of miles for me to basically put it down the drain. That's mad to me. But also what I've never been comfortable about with them is this extra paper wrapping. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. I mean, it's cute. Does not need it. That's excessive consumption. It's not needed. It ends up going straight to the recycling. What a waste. It's being made to go straight into recycling. That, yeah, it doesn't sit well with me. So I found the company again that I tried a few months ago. I went online and I kept looking for UK manufactured lavatory paper. I can't remember all the permutations I put in. And it kept coming up with, there were 2 other companies. I'm not going to give them a name check. They're okay. They're like Who Gives a Crap. They're okay in their practices, but again, not manufactured in the UK. This one, and it's got no extra paper wrapper. I've just pulled this out. I've had a carton delivered. It's from Serious Tissue. Dead simple. I'm so glad I found them again. Serious Tissue. So this is post-consumer waste, so cardboard, paper that we chuck out into our recycling. And that's the other thing. Some of them that do the recycled loo rolls, they're buying in other people's waste from other countries. Mad. We've got waste in this country. So it's all British waste. It's a British factory. It's manufactured here, so it's got far less miles to travel to get to me. That is a really simple swap, which I think, yeah, it does make a difference. I'm only one person, but we all need loo paper, don't we? So that one consumerist act that I'm doing is, it's doing a number of different things. 1, it's tackling waste in this country. 2, it's tackling the dearth of manufacturing in the UK now. There's so little, so we're keeping jobs, yay, or providing jobs, brilliant, just from buying loo paper. It's the simplest thing, isn't it? We all have that power. Our money, the money we spend, is power. Let's put that money to good use and support our own industry. And obviously, for those of you who watch, I know there's a lot of you watch from overseas. The main ones of you overseas, you're Americans, Canadians, Australians. You're the biggest clump of my overseas people. But yeah, the same for within your own country too. So other little swaps, and again, so that one, in terms of financially, it's about the same. It's about the same. So it's not costing me any more to support a factory in the UK, to support jobs in the UK. No more money. Okay, now this one is extra, but again, it's that thing of just use less. So, you know, since moving here, or it's kind of started back in London actually, having stopped growing so much of my own produce, although I've got a bit now, obviously my shopping bill went up, but also it went up because I'm trying to buy organic where I can. It is more expensive. However, I just eat less. So in a way, my shopping bill, it kind of evens out because I buy less, make my nice food, eat less, but I buy well, if that makes sense. So this is another little swap, and you've seen this before because I got this in for Richard and Paul, because I'm not using honey myself. But this is literally made within a few miles of me, right in this area. We have lovely bees in the UK, but as a cheap version, supermarket version, and I was looking at this one, and it says it's a blend of honeys of more than one country and non-EU honeys. This is not anything to do with xenophobia, by the way, but why are we buying honey from all these different countries to put in this jar when we've got honey in the UK? Why aren't we supporting our own bee farmers? Is that the word? What do you call a bee farmer? Honey producers. Why aren't the supermarkets who are doing this mass-produced honey, why aren't they supporting British honey producers? So yeah, it's more expensive. Just use less of it. Make it more of a treat than an everyday thing. And of course, you see, I bought Dorset tea. That one's nearly, oops, 2 bags left. Now, obviously, the tea isn't grown in Dorset. I don't think any... Well, I'll have to look into it now. I don't think there's any tea grown in Dorset, or in the UK, I mean. But also, so now that one's nearly finished. And I thought, actually, I'm getting through a lot of tea with visitors, so I'm going to go for a bigger box. But I've gone this time for Clipper, which is also a Dorset company. So it's not just about buying British, but can I get even more local than that and buy some from Dorset and support the local economy? Yes, I can. Great. There are probably tons and tons more swaps I can think about, and you know, certainly, I mean, I do this anyway with food shopping because I mean, most of my food shopping, it tends to be mostly fresh stuff. And you saw when I took you to the shops, that cauliflower was from Cornwall. But generally speaking, I look to see the country of origin, and I'm always looking for British, support our British farmers. And there are things which I never eat because they're never grown in the UK. So you'll never see, in my house, you'll never see bananas or avocados. We don't grow them in the UK, so I don't have them. And that's, you know, into that sort of food miles thing. This all got me thinking as well. Oh, I wonder if the rain is... I think the rain might be stopping. I'm just wondering about quickly nipping out to get the tomatoes before I want to talk about ideas for when we're shopping for other people, when we're gift buying, about how we can... Less is more for that. Yeah, let's quickly nip outside and get these tomatoes in before they get any more split. God, where's the time? Oh, slimy. Oh, that's a good pick. Yeah, as I feared, these ones are really badly split, but there should be something I can rescue. And then this lot, yeah, not too bad. I reckon that's about 6 kilos in there. Well, actually, judging by my other picks, yeah, that's 5 or 6 kilos. So I'll get those processed and weighed. I might just quickly weigh them now, and then I can. Oh no, I'll do the. I have been weighing all of them that I've picked. I need to remember to keep some on. I'm going to process later. I need to keep some of them unprocessed for some cooking this week. But yeah, I've been keeping a running tally, and yeah, it's not bad. Right, let me put these down, and we'll carry on with Christmas gifting ideas. I just balanced the basket on my scales, and it's gone past. And it won't register anymore. It's gone past the 5 kilo mark. So I think minus the basket, I think it is about 5 kilos. Yay! Yeah, so it kind of, this whole shopping, so just for ourselves in our normal day-to-day lives, always that mantra when you're shopping of, do I really need it? And if it's not something you really need, just carry on, walk on by. And if it is something you really need, what's the best choice you can make? Is it something, and shop local? Is it something you can find that's simple, like lavatory paper that's made in the UK? Is there a swap you can do? Is there a more conscious choice you can make? A more green choice, for example, etc., etc. But now, just thinking ahead to Christmas and gifting, I thought, well, we could set ourselves a little challenge, couldn't we? Because a gift is a one-off thing, and I think generally we spend more time thinking about things we buy for other people than the things we buy every day for ourselves. So this might be a good place to start in terms of just changing our mindset. So I've got a little challenge for everyone, and me. I think I've probably been doing this anyway, but Christmas gifting, for those of you who do still, how about we try this Christmas to gift to others with no plastic and no Amazon? I know, shock horror. It can be done. So I jotted down a few ideas. So one thing you could think about is does your town still actually have a factory? So in Lancashire there are a couple of textile mills still working. Some of them work as, like living history, living museum places. But I've got, and I still haven't used it, I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for, but I'll make it into something. I've got a couple of lengths of, I've got one that's cotton and one that's linen that was woven in one of the Lancashire mills. So great, I can support that mill to stay in production. Yes, it's a heritage mill, but I can still support it that way by buying some fabric. There are some places where there'll be a factory shop, so whatever it is that they make, you can go to their factory shop to buy it directly from them. Brilliant. But also things like, because I know that's going to be few and far between. I know it will be, because we have so little manufacturing in the UK anymore. But certainly what may happen, and it may happen more towards Christmas, but maybe there'll be some around autumn time. Look in your local press. Maybe there will be some craft fairs in your area. So yeah, go along to a craft fair and support an artisan maker. Support them directly. So knowing that whatever you buy from them, that is directly supporting their wages, if you like. And I was thinking about, say, handmade soaps. I was thinking, what a lovely gift for someone for Christmas. If you find charity shop, flea market, boot sale, whatever, finding a little vintage ceramic dish, so it's a one-off, keep it out of landfill, a little ceramic dish, you might spend £3 or £4 on it. Get it home, washed, scrubbed up, and then a bar of handmade soap from a craft fair, or, a lot of these sellers sell via Etsy. There are online outlets where you can go direct to the maker. But what a beautiful gift that would be, a soap dish with soap in it. That dish is a one-off because it's vintage. You know, it might even be 100 years old, might be older than 100 years old, but it's certainly going to be unique. And then a bar of soap, which by the fact that it's been handmade will also be unique. What a beautiful gift. Things like, I'm always on the lookout for these, but vintage glass jars or ceramic pots or old tins, all of those sorts of things. Pick them up relatively cheaply, but then the joy for you as the giver, the gift giver, is to put things inside them as a little extra. So of course it could be foodie stuff, homemade sweets, cakes, that biscuit type things, bath bombs, all these things we can make ourselves. Or, as I did one year for my sister, I put one of these tins together with all sorts of little bits of odds and ends of fabrics. I mean, big enough to make like fat quarters. So there were some lovely bits of fabric, some really pretty vintage ribbons and buttons. And it was just this box of delights for her to, oh, I could make this, I could make that, and I could make... Obviously, you know who your friend or family member is and what they would like inside a tin. But all of that is keeping stuff out of landfill. If you're shopping with, say, someone like me, you know, an individual online or Etsy, whatever it is, you know that when you pay £4 for that tin, then that's helping to support a British wage. It's not really a wage, but you know what I mean. So I think those are some nice ideas to think about. I mean, just vintage crockery full stop. If you've got a friend who is, you know, they love their kitchen, they love spending time in their kitchen, and they do a lot, and they like entertaining, and you know their kind of style or taste, you can think, oh, you know, you see a little jug in a market, and it's a bit dusty and grubby, and it's £4. By the time you get it home and scrub it up, it could look gorgeous, and you could always give it to them as a gift with some flowers in it, you know, like as a housewarming. If you're going to someone's house for the first time, you want to give them a housewarming gift. Instead of a bottle of wine, a really pretty jug that you've scrubbed up with a bunch of flowers in it. There you go, welcome to your new home. Lovely. There's all sorts we can do. And then it gets to the more expensive. I was just thinking then, because I was just looking at my mug. This was a gift. Thank you, Nancy. Emma Bridgewater. Now, lots of people collect her stuff, but I mean, think about this. It's manufactured in the UK. It's given, in terms of jobs, there's a potter, the person who's made the actual mug, and then there's the artist who's done all the painting. There's people who are doing the packing, people who are serving in, I think they have a factory shop, don't they? I'm not sure. But even if it's a shop in your own personal little high street, that's another wage that you're supporting. Going to your high street to buy your Emma Bridgewater mug, you're supporting that little shop and keeping that wage, that person employed and feeding their family, and you're supporting a British manufacturer. It's win-win-win. And this is one of the other points that Patrick makes, and it's something I've thought about too. You know, when people were saying, oh, Nixon's, my local, oh, you could get it cheaper online. The fact is, Nixon's, how many people work there? I'm not sure, actually. You know, front of house, as it were, on the shop floor, there's probably 8-10 different people work there. So that's 8-10 wages. Those people getting their wages, they're paying national insurance and they're paying income tax. So that all goes into the coffers. Great. The shop itself is going to be paying business rates, corporation tax, all those things which I've forgotten because it's been a long time since I had a bricks and mortar place. But that's all going into the coffers, and all of that then pays for our NHS, our schools, our hospitals, our police force, etc., etc. So yes, support British manufacturers, support your local high street, blah, blah, blah. I've said it all before. You know what I'm getting at. Anyway, that all came from reading this book. Incredibly thought-provoking, and it's really good, as I said, to every now and again to stop in one's tracks and think, could I do better? Am I just breezing through life, taking things for granted and not thinking about things. What can I do? What little tiny thing can I do? My little tiny action. I'm one of 66 million people in this country. But imagine if 10% of us did these small actions, or 20%. It starts to make a difference. Dead easy swap. All right, lovelies. Look, I hope I never, ever, ever mean any of this in a preachy way, and I hope to God it doesn't come across like that. I hope you know that I know for myself that I'm not perfect, and I'm always looking for different ways. None of us are perfect. So I hope it doesn't come across as that. I hope what it does is, I hope it's inspiring us all to think, you know, in the same way that this book made me think. Yeah, and yeah, but, you know, also as I continue to slim down, I can't remember what else. I've got a whole trunk full of clothes. I remember people saying, well, why didn't you just get rid of them? Get rid of them, just get rid of them. No, this is the reason I didn't get rid of them. There's plenty more wear in all of these. I just needed to slim those hips down a bit to get into them again. Yay. You see, and even that, I could do better. I will do. I'm trying. All right, lovelies, that's more than enough for today. I will catch up with you again before too long. In terms of the tomatoes, where are we? I think, as long as we don't have any more big gales, one of the ones outside is looking like that as well. Thank goodness for the wall to catch it. I think I've probably got about another 4 weeks of picking. So I think probably by the beginning of October, I'll be able to give you a full roundup of the weight of them and what that would have cost me in pounds at the shop. And all those pounds that I've saved by not buying the tomatoes, I can still support our British farmers by buying something else from them. All right, gorgeosities, until the next one, cheerio.